Hello, welcome, good evening to our wonderful program, which is named Reflections, where we listen to stories that recharge and rejuvenate us. And I'm very happy to welcome our guest speaker today, Dr. Tamasin Ramsay. A very warm welcome, Tamasin.
Thank you very much.
Tamasin began her life of meditation with the Brahma Kumaris in 1984. She is also a former paramedic, a medical anthropologist, and works as a political staffer in the animal protection movement. Tamasin enjoys translating spiritual ideas into practical wisdom for people from all walks of life. Tamasin began with the Brahma Kumaris as a teenager, and at the same time, she started learning martial arts. And today she's going to share the story of how she learned many lessons of spiritual wisdom while learning martial arts, how the teachings of martial arts are reflected in or have spiritual wisdom in them. And through these stories, Tamasin will share key lessons she learned as a martial artist and how these simple lessons helped her greatly in her life as a yogi. So that's a very exciting thing. Martial arts, physical, thinking of tough body, and thinking of meditation, a strong mind. How was it to learn both these different arts, and what were the lessons you learned? Very excited to hear your story, Tamasin. A very warm welcome once again, and it's over to you.
Thank you, Lata, then. Thank you very much. It's great to be here. Okay, so let me begin like many good stories begin. Once upon a time, there was a little girl. She was about 2 years old, and she grew up in a little hut on a mountain outside a small country town in Eastern Australia. She lived a simple life with her parents. She was an only child, and they lived very simply. So there was no electricity, no running water, no telephone. They grew their own vegetables. They didn't even have a bathroom. So the forest was her living room, and the animals were her friends. And that's how she grew up for most of that time until she was about 7 years old. Then she relocated to the city and spent most of her years from 8 on to her teenage years in the city. And of course, I am speaking about myself. So when I got back to the city, it was a very new world for me. There were a lot of things I hadn't been exposed to, including the sorrows of the world. And this troubled me, and I had a lot of questions about even my own self. Why do I get angry? And then more broadly, why are there these troubles in the world? Why people mean to animals? Why does it get dark? So many questions I had, existential questions, you could say. So this led me to search for answers as a child. And my mother used to meditate, and I used to meditate with her friends, but I never really had a practice of my own. But then I came across a book called Be Here Now by a teacher called Ram Dass. And remember, I was only like 8, 9, 10 at that point. But there were some beautiful concepts in that book that actually bridge martial arts and spirituality, I feel. But some of the teachings were about that this world is like a drama, a great theatrical play. There's no one to blame for anything. There is a divine being, and that divine being is light. And that I am not this body, I am an eternal soul, and I can never die. And these concepts brought me some relief and also inspired more questions. But, you know, I got to the age of about 15 and I left all that aside because I was too busy being a teenager and being rightly self-absorbed. Then a couple of years later, I got a job as a young actress in a television show. And this was in Sydney. And I started going out with one of the young men who worked on the show in the technical department. And he told me he was a black belt in karate. Now, I did not believe him because I thought the only people that could be black belts were people from Japan. Anyway, I was very wrong. So to prove it to me, he invited me to a class. So I went to a class, and as soon as I went into the dojo, which is the name for the training hall in karate, I was instantly struck by the discipline and the physicality, and also the fact that it focused not just on the body, but it focused on the character as well. So it was a series of disciplines that focused on developing the body and the character. And I used to wear a white gi, and I had a white belt because I was a new novice student. And at the same time, I came across the Brahma Kumaris, and oddly, they wore white. So I was changing white clothes a lot. And I was interested in that because it gave me the opportunity to study meditation more formally. And I also liked it because it focused on disciplines that developed the heart and the mind. So like you said earlier, Lata, it's the heart and the mind on one hand and the body and the character on the other. So this was like a beautiful meeting for me at such a young age. So with meditation, there were, let me go back initially to karate. So in karate, especially when you're beginning, they get you to focus on the basics. And that means punching, blocking, kicking, upper block, middle block, lower block, upper punch, middle punch, lower block, and a series of stances and kicks. And that's all you do for months and months and months. Up and down the hall, up and down, up and down. And eventually, I was looking at the green belts and the brown belts, and I remember thinking, I really want to do what they're doing. It was so interesting, and it had all these circular movements, and it looked so sophisticated and elegant. And I was kind of getting a bit frustrated, a bit bored. But my Shihan, which is the name for a fifth dan, he was very clear that the basics are critical for developing your skill, for becoming a master, actually. And it's the same. I was learning the same with meditation, that there are certain disciplines: vegetarian diet, early morning meditation, no drinking, no smoking. And some people can say, well, these are limitations, but it's like with anything. If you want to be a good athlete, you need certain disciplines in order to hone your craft. So I was really interested in taking on these disciplines and seeing what would develop. So these lessons I'm talking about, these learnings that I'm talking about, really came home in my black belt grading. And there were two main lessons that I learned that apply to both martial arts and spirituality and life, I would say. Always face the right direction, which can mean, another way of saying that is never turn away. And the second one is always keep going. Whatever happens, never give up. So let me tell you about my black belt grading, because that's where this learning really culminated for me. So black belt gradings can sometimes go for 5 to 6 hours. Sometimes they can go all day. So we do basics, like I was talking about, up and down, but then you do a lot more when you're going for your black belt grading, because you do the junior basics and then you do the more senior ones, the more sophisticated ones. Then you do something called bunkai, which is a prearranged set of movements you do with a partner. Then you do kata, which is a prearranged set of movements you do on your own. And then you come to sparring, and sparring is fighting with an opponent. So you can imagine after hours, you're really tired. And when you're going for your black belt grading, you have to spar with all the junior grades first: white belt, yellow belt, green, brown belt, your peers. And then when you're absolutely exhausted and you have nothing left in the tank, that's when you have to start fighting the second and third dan black belts. So I think it's designed like that on purpose. But I just remember thinking, like, everything I'd learned, my form was out the window, my technique, my power, I had none. My focus, I'd lost all focus. I had no stamina. I was fighting this third dan. I couldn't even hold up my arms anymore. I couldn't protect myself. He kept hitting me, not hard. It's not real, but nevertheless, it is contact. So I kept getting, and it was a sign that I wasn't doing well. And I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing going through this grading? I can't even defend myself. And I really became despondent. So I was physically tired and I was emotionally drained. And I turned away. And it's like I've been taught never to do that. But with that hopelessness and exhaustion, I turned away. And as soon as I turned away, the third Dan who I was fighting, he picked me up and he threw me on the floor. So, and I was lying there and I remember thinking, am I going to throw up? Am I going to throw up? And I didn't, luckily. And I looked up into the eyes of my Shihan, my senior instructor who was conducting the grading, and he gave me such a determined look. Just get up and keep on going. Never turn your back. He just gave me that powerful look. So I pulled up the threads I had of energy, which weren't very much, and the threads I had of self-esteem, which also weren't very much. And that's when something really special happened, just by the act of never giving up, no matter how depleted I felt, of getting up, facing my opponent, facing the right direction. I'd kind of realigned my character and I did feel stronger. The discipline I had learned kicked in. And there's something that Yamaguchi, who was a great karate master and the founder of Gojukai karate, which is what I did, he said, when you've got the right level of discipline, when you've honed your craft to the right degree, you what he calls, you enter the dance. So it's no longer a struggle. There's not fighting. There's not you and the opponent. It's like you're in a dance. And this happened. I was somehow calm. When I got back up, I was calm. I was composed. I was measured. I was tired still, but it didn't somehow bother me. I was tired, but not exhausted, if that makes sense. And somehow I could see my opponent's techniques coming towards me from further away, so I had time to defend myself. The whole thing was different, and I'm convinced that that's because of those two things. My Shihan taught me to never turn away, or you could say always face the right direction, and never give up, or always keep going. So this helped me a lot in my spiritual practice, because I've seen over time, I'm now 55 years old, I was 18 back then, that the same laws often apply. So sometimes when we're having an internal struggle, we turn away. And sometimes we turn away from that which we don't like within ourselves. We don't like to face it. But actually, if we turn towards our quote unquote opponent, that which we don't like, or that which threatens us, or whatever it may be, if we turn with courage and kindness, often what seems so scary is suddenly revealed as a paper tiger. It doesn't have any power. Or you enter the dance, like with that opponent. Suddenly, he was a third down, but suddenly I could kind of preempt what he was going to do. He didn't have that power over me anymore. So, whereas if you turn and try and run away from something, it'll chase you in a sense, like you won't resolve it, but you turn towards it and it can heal very quickly. And the other thing is, no matter what happens, there are so many reasons to give up on a spiritual path. You know, there's many reasons. We all have to deal with hopelessness and exhaustion and lack of self-respect, and maybe this isn't for me. And, you know, there's 1,000 things like that, 100,000 things like that. But just to keep going, regardless, we just keep going. So these are the two things that I think create like an inner samurai. So we can look outside for teachers, and there are great teachers and we need them. I've had great teachers in my life of martial arts and in my yogi life as well. I've had great teachers, but they can only be signposts. They point us in the right direction, but we have to do it. We have to develop our character, our body, our mind and our heart, we are the ones that have to develop equanimity. We have to develop a deep level of compassion. We have to develop courage. So it's us, and we all have an inner samurai inside us. And I feel that those two lessons are really crucial in waking up that inner samurai. So I guess that's kind of my story. Yeah, that's my experience.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, I could go on listening to your story for at least 1 more hour or 2 hours, I think. It was so interesting. And this interesting thing that you brought up of how similar these two can be, like what you're taught in martial arts, or like karate, as you said, and in meditation. Firstly, also the thing that you mentioned about learning the basics properly.
That's right.
Because that is what, makes the foundation strong.
Yes.
So you mentioned about karate was, the up and down, up and down. What was the basics in meditation that helped?
So I think it is, first of all, just understand, first of all, everything coming home, because often our mind is one place, our body is another, our heart is, we're all everywhere. So we just come back home. And then this feeling, which is very grounded, but also it's very spiritual as well, is this feeling of being a star, like a living point of light in the center of the forehead. I think that is the most beautiful way to visualize who I am as a human being. I'm this silent, radiant being operating this body and living through this personality and experiencing life. So that's the first, that's like the upper block, you could say. And the second one is connection with the divine. So that's the other thing, because through that, I get the power to apply all the things I seek to apply. Like, how do I develop courage? How do I become fearless? How do I have compassion for someone who's hurting me? It does take a lot to develop the heart to that degree. And we need to fill up our batteries somehow. And I feel that this divine creator being that has many names and is neither male nor female, but is supreme in the sense that isn't caught in this drama of life and is the source of all forms of power and goodness, is like a wellspring for us to draw on, and is a real relationship we can have. So I think those are the basics. And then it's a matter of experimenting. And that's what you do also with karate. Like you do upper block, upper punch, you do kick, But then when it comes to sparring, and you can say life is sparring, you adapt everything to the situation at hand. And it's the same with meditation. It's not that we cut ourselves off from people and say, oh no, don't speak to me, I'm meditating. Oh, no. and lock ourselves in a quiet room. The idea is to have this kind of silent soul awareness and this relationship with the divine that's kind of living and engaging and sustaining, and go through life that way. So whether we're buying something at the supermarket, whether we're giving a talk, whether we're washing the floor, it's like it brings in power, it brings in joy, and we get to experiment with it. So, but once we have the basics of both of those things, and it takes discipline to develop the basics, like anything, you have to, if you want to make a doll, you get a piece of paper, but you cut around the shape you want. That's discipline. You're shaping something. So we shape ourselves through meditation. And we shape out our character and our bodies through martial arts. So I would say
that's wonderful, Tamasin. Thanks for sharing that.
It's my pleasure.
And as you have touched upon that, meditation is one of the basics, the soul and the supreme soul. So would you like us to take us on a little journey to a meditation commentary so that
Sure.
our viewers also get a experience?
Sure, it'd be my pleasure.
Thank you.
So just where you are, take a couple of 2 or 3 slow and steady breaths in your own time. Just feel your body sitting gently, standing gently, wherever you may be. Just feel it there, this gentle, strong body, your temple, your life, the home of the inner samurai. You can keep your eyes open or closed, whatever is comfortable for you. And just bring your attention to the center of your forehead, between your eyebrows. Just imagine there the most beautiful star. The most beautiful star you've ever seen. Living, radiant, sparkling. This is you. This is me. Unique, individual, eternal. Can never be burned, or cut, or destroyed. An eternal living jewel. And then far away in my mind's eye, I see another radiant being, radiant jewel, tiny but magnificent. In a world of gold and red light. I feel this one, this divine, loves me as my parent, as my teacher, as my friend. This one is my touchstone for life. Eternal love, eternal acceptance. That relationship is there whenever I wish. So as I bring my attention back to my body, I, the soul, in this body, feeling again the breath coming in and out of the body in a very natural way. I know that only a thought away is that one, the Supreme One, the form of love, the divine. My master, my teacher, my friend. Who is the source of all power, strength, love. And through that one, I can cultivate the inner samurai. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. That was so beautiful.
Thank you, Lata.
I really feel empowered. As you said, the inner samurai, I already feel powerful.
Very good. Excellent.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
So thank you so much for sharing your stories today. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure viewers are inspired to learn meditation as well, and probably karate as well.
Well, thank you. I had a lovely time also. I really did enjoy it very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And for our viewers who would like to know more about the Brahma Kumaris, please do visit our website, which is www.brahmakumaris.org.au. It's flashing on the screen at the moment, and you could find details of all our programs and events at this website. So thank you for joining in today, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks with another interesting story. Till then, keep meditating and become strong, the inner samurai. Om Shanti. Thank you.